I'm Sabina. That's me, the colorful one. And that's my husband Rabi, the one with the love of packing power strips while traveling. For the longest time, it was only the two of us. In 2017, our son came into the world, and just like that, we were the happy three. Last year, in 2022, weeks before our son turned 5, our daughter was born and made our family complete. We now had some logistical problems to solve as we did not have a nursery. But we did have a PC gaming room, which unfortunately had to go. For how we turned this into this, please watch our very first video on this channel. In this video, we will tackle the task of finding a permanent or a semi-permanent home for our now homeless PC. We really hope you will join us once more as we attempt a new project.
Hi, so to recap, this is a picture from the website, the actual blog where we found the hidden desk hack. As you can see, you have a screen that is set against the lid, you have a laptop, and you have a retractable keyboard desk. This is what we're trying to do, but there are some slight differences that we will get into later on. But one of the main things is that we have a desktop computer and not a laptop. So I will have to make some space down the bottom to make sure that I can have my desktop hidden in here as well. I also have a PlayStation 5 that will be standing next to it. It will be a bit more cluttered, but I think it should be alright.
I got stuck. So this is my problem. I need to cut this at an angle with this. Without knowing what I was doing, I assumed that these could be used with this. As you can see, it doesn't quite go in. So yeah, so now I have to figure out how to actually lock this in place so I can cut out all the paneling. So yeah, I'll look around and try to find a solution. I might just cut off a little piece of wood that actually comes on top of this, and then I could easily catch it with the upper part. Otherwise, I really have no idea, because yeah, this is not working out as it is right now. So you live and learn. But yeah, I really want to cut this now because I don't want to leave it until tomorrow. Aww. Why can't everything just be easy for once? Okay, we figured it out. It works. It fits. We'll just do it this way, and it's perfect. We can hold it and we can cut it. Okay, all the pieces are basically kept. Let's line them up just to see that they fit nicely together. Let's see. Yeah, this will work. Nice. So this will be our decorative frame on one of our doors, and the other one will have basically the same one. Did you just hear my stomach? I'm hungry. Sorry about that. We haven't had dinner yet, so it's about that time. Yeah. Well, at least this part is done. There's basically only painting left, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Nope. Not this way. Nope. Don't try it with that either. There we go.
a snake from the front door
Yeah.
all the way to that wall.
Mm-hmm.
That's how long the snake was.
What kind of snake is that?
Sounds like a king cobra.
No, king cobras are not that long. Anacondas maybe. I'll be using this as my note as we go along. As you can see, we have been working quite a lot over the past couple of weeks now, trying to assemble this, getting into a finished state, and a lot of work in front of us. If you saw part 1, you saw that we linked, well, I would say the inspiration for the hidden desk to a website. And one thing I may have done before we started was to actually go through the entry to see what how they've actually solved their hidden desk situation. Because once we started going through it, we realized that the actual instructions were not as intricate as you might have wanted, but that did leave us with a lot of room for creativity. And also, given the fact that we've actually that we've also commented on earlier on in the video, is that we did end up in a situation where we might have had some things that were different from the original poster of that blog. For instance, the monitor, the size, the differences that we had to work through. It did end up giving us the opportunity to try to do some adjustments of our own, which is good. I mean, in the end, I think it did help us a lot to understand, to actually make us think as well as a little bit, try to figure things out instead of just routinely following an instruction. All that said, we still have some things that we would like to address. So, according to the instruction on the website, the way they solved the lid situation, or the lid where you actually have the monitor set, is that they actually had set up 2 pieces of wood, and they've used these kind of locks. I don't remember what they're called right now. You will probably see it somewhere around here, text-wise, later on as a caption. So they basically show that you lift up the lid, you have the screen in front, and then you have these 2 locks which you just set in, and then the lid should stand up straight and not fall down or not fall back, just be straight. Now, as we mentioned earlier on, first things first is that our monitor is quite heavy. Given that it was heavy, given that it was a computer monitor instead of being more like a TV where you have the cables going, they're usually connected like upwards, something like that, instead of going straight from the back like this. That led us to the situation where we actually had to make sure that we had a bit of space, which in turn led to us having to glue and attach these supporting beams where the screen is actually fastened. All of that in turn turned out to make the lid very heavy. Now, while I was carrying it and trying to adjust everything, I realized that the locking mechanism that they showed on the website would probably, or most certainly, not suffice. I think we would end up in a situation where the lid would actually be so heavy that it would probably just break everything loose and then just fall down flat. So that's when I came up, or actually Sabine and I discussed, and we came up with the anchor that you've seen on the previous shots. And that anchor was also in turn something I had to figure out. I had an idea in front of me, and it was Sabina's, part of it was Sabina's idea to actually go to a second-hand store and buy this leather belt So it was a regular leather belt that you have, you know, around your waist. So I bought that, and then I went to this other shop where you can buy these like craft things, and that's where I bought all these parts that I needed to actually cut the holes and, you know, just punch the leather belt together and make that anchor. Now they didn't have the actual hooks that I was looking for, so I had to, while I was shopping, just think of something of how to solve it. So that's why this final solution is actually a bit different from what we intended. It still worked out great in my opinion. That one belt just holds the whole lid upwards. I've had it up overnight, you know, it's been up for like a couple of days already by the time I'm recording this, and it's just been there firm. Because the nice thing about it is that even though it's heavy, by the time you bring it up straight, there's not really much force that's actually applied on the actual belt, mainly just to make sure that it doesn't fall either backwards or forwards. And one of the actual rails on one side, it was an error on my part, but it actually turned out to be quite good, because once the lid is up, you know, the lid that actually holds the rails on each side where the lid rests on when it's closed, one of them, they are a bit offset. I haven't put them exactly straight measurement wise, so they're actually a bit like offset. So once you lift the lid, the bottom end of the lid is actually hitting that rail. I don't know if my hand gestures is helping in any way, but it's actually keeping it straight. And then you have the actual anchor, which I've mounted against the wall. It just keeps everything straight. So that turned out really nice, better actually than I anticipated. On the negative note, we have the paint. The whole problem with the paint, well, actually it's not much of a problem. We ran out of paint. That's how it is. We painted a lot. What actually happened was that we were debating back and forth whether we should paint the decorative borders before we apply it on the actual doors. We decided to do that instead of applying the decorative borders to the drawer and then paint everything over. Well, our mistake was that we didn't realize that the glue will itself make a bit of a mess. So we painted everything separately, and then once we started attaching the decorative borders, and as you can see on the video, we try to move them a bit back and forth, the glue just smeared out all over the place, and the end result isn't all too great, to be honest. And another part is the beams for the lid, once again, the one on each side, which holds the Visa mounts, Visa adapter mounts. They haven't been painted either. So that is something we need to handle, but I just felt that I need to put everything in so that I can continue making these videos. So the paint job wasn't the best. Next part is the doors. The doors themselves, they address it even on the website. You have this phenomenon called the Ivar gap. Apparently it happens to everyone. Once you screw everything together, you usually have a small gap between the doors. There are several ways to handle that. We did it in such a way that we bought some extra cushion. It's what is it called? You know, the things you usually have underneath keyboards or whatever to make sure that they have some friction so that they don't slide along. We took those just added them together, and then we screwed the door in. What happened was that when you do that on each side, you move the door slightly inwards, and so the gap was managed. Something else that I found was that once we did that, I realized that the doors sometimes have a tendency to nudge against each other, so they're maybe a bit too close. I'm not too bothered with that. I think the end piece looking even closely looks quite nice. It's just a little bit of hassle. It's not really a hassle. You just gotta make sure that you open and close the doors in a certain way to make sure that they end up straight. Another part that we haven't finished is actually, the original Ivar cabinet has certain holes for the shelves and everything. We haven't patched them. We haven't used plaster or anything to just cover that up. That is also something that we need to do. Probably sandpaper a bit and then add another coat of paint. So that is something we need to handle as well. But I think all in all, the project turned out as I expected. There are some things that might be a bit off from what we wanted. When I initially sat by the computer with the monitor up and everything, I felt like, well, the screen is really high up. But at the same time, I have a tendency to hunch forward a lot when I was sitting and work by the desk or anything. So I use one of these chairs now that we have when I sit by the computer, and since the screen is quite high up, it makes me, or it forces me to lean a bit backwards and look a bit upwards. Not something that I'm really used to right now, but I do feel that it's actually helping me a lot to sit and work that way. I think that will actually be quite nice. I realized that the other day when I was playing some video games on the PlayStation, I just put my legs straight forward and just sit and play, and actually quite nice. I could sit there for like hours and just sit and play. I think all in all it was a very good project. Thank you for watching, and it was quite a treat to actually build this one, and I hope that my editing skills, which are very basic right now, was still able to give you an insight and gave you somewhat of a nice tour around the whole project. Thanks for sticking by, and hope to see you guys next time.